Bengals drop a tough one in LA. We'll talk about this coming up next on the Wincinnati podcast.
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals
Welcome to the Wincinnati podcast. I'm Ace. He's Zim. Zim, what's happening?
Rough time. Hey, the intro says, what does it say? Like a great time to be a Bengals fan. I don't know about today, bro.
Nah, it's feeling like, what is that thing? That's what it's feeling like. That's what this season feels like.
There are some things, I'm a very positive person. We talk about positive energy. We talk about all the different things and all these good monikers to live by and all these different things and all these it's just hard to find it this year, other than the fact that I don't know if it's a good thing that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Trey Hendrickson are leading the sport in their respective categories. But I don't know. It doesn't make me feel good. That's why we were having a conversation earlier, and I hope none of that goes. But the stats just like this. This is a learning experience for me because I'm a big stat guy. Like you always be like, man, you be coming with those stats. I definitely have like this weird memory where I can remember a lot of stats. And I think it drives my wife crazy. I can remember stats, but I don't remember something she said yesterday, right? This is the first year where I'm just like, I don't care about those stats. They don't really mean anything to me because, like we're losing games and, I don't know. That's where I'm at. I am happy to be here to do another show with you. We are rocking on the Wincinnati pod. Make sure that you all subscribe. If you are on Twitter, please come on over to YouTube so you can join the chat. Make sure you subscribe. Even if you're up, come on in here and be able to type in here and tell us how you feel about us. You can't do that on Twitter and all the other platforms. Make sure you subscribe. Our subscribe numbers have not been going up like they should. We're going to work through this all together as a community, and we're going to talk this whole thing out.
Yes, sir. So, of course, we're going to hit you guys with the Bengals versus Chargers recap. With that, we'll probably talk about the coaching staff. We'll talk about Evan McPherson, some key decisions that were made by the Bengals in the clutch in terms of Joe Burrow in this game. So we'll get into all of that coming up next.
I'm really the best in the league. You know that. Y'all better respect.
All right, bro. Where do we begin? I mean, you kind of want to have a script, but I feel like this is going to be a situation where, bear with us, guys. It might be a little loose, and we might jump all over the place because that's how this Bengals game was. We talk about this one ending up, I believe it was 34-27. The way that this started off, I was crashing out in real time because I just couldn't believe it. The way that the Bengals came out in this game, I was disappointed because I expected them to come out in this game and really grab this game by the will and try to enforce their will. And the exact opposite happened. They come out down 24-6. Defense looks like it can't stop anything. More of the same. And I'm just like, bro, what is going on right now? When are the Bengals going to wake up? As that first half was going on, what was going through your mind? Because I was just frustrated. I started like talking about like, bro, heads need to roll. I know you weren't on that vibe, but like I just couldn't contain myself, bro. I wanted to stop, but it was just like, bro, it's so frustrating seeing this happen in real time. From your perspective, what was it that you felt like you were seeing just at least in that first half?
I think, I like to evaluate. I think I talk to you about this all the time. I hate how people on social media try to like say or whatever I'm toxic or whatever because I'm really not I can't think that fast. Like I like to evaluate what I'm seeing first. I still haven't rewatched the game in its totality, like all 22, because I'm very upset at that game. But early in the game, I was on a live stream and they were crashing out, and I even cut the comments off because it was bad, bro. It was super bad. Ooze was done. It was bad, and I just thought about a lot of. If you guys don't watch Bengals Post, I was thinking about a lot of what Mon talks about with the front office and just the overall construction of the team. Like, the Bengals fan base, I think, try to emulate 2021, or they bring it up probably more than what it should now that we're in 2024. Maybe I'm guilty of that. Like, if I say something crazy to me, I'm like, bro, you ain't gone to a bowl, da da da. You know, I think the 2022 team, though, I thought they tried to recreate that this year. And the 2022 team was a team that got out on people early. And if you don't believe that, I feel like they just chase the money. They're like, well, if we can get out on teams early, we got T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. We get out on teams quicker than anybody else, and then Lou Anarumo can do his thing on the back end. Hence the reason they bring in Geno Stone, guys like Shelton Reagans that can take advantage of the pass rush situations in an advantageous situation, like if you're up like 10-plus points. The problem is with this team is they never realized that the defense would be so bad and so slow on the back end. That was my original. My first thought was in the run defense, they don't like. I watched a lot of games yesterday. A lot of those teams, like when Roquan went out of that game in the Ravens game, the Steelers immediately started running, and instantly you could see like, whoa, that dude makes such a big difference in the run game. And I watched the Bengals play, and I'm like, none of these linebackers are hitting like that. Like none of these linebackers are hitting like that. And then the coverage on the back end is so slow that I'm just like, with a guy with an arm like Herbert, we talked about this on that pregame show. I said, I'm not worried about them running. I'm worried about Herbert's arm because the arm talent of him against the secondary, like, cool, run the ball. Like, I think our Bengals run defense is a lot better than what people give a credit to. I know at the end, you know, like they give up the big run of dominance, but they contain the run game most of the game. Mm-hmm. And I just was thinking about the totality of the season and all these different things. I can say this and people can vouch for me. I didn't give up on the team. I didn't go and start up like different stuff that I've seen online where people just like going straight into the draft and all that stuff like that. I don't know if that's a flex. I guess I'm a weird delusional fan, but I still feel like there was a lot of time to come back, and I know how good Joe Burrow is.
This is what I'm going to say. The draft, like, I think, like you said, people try to flex the draft like it's this golden ticket that's going to fix everything. You can't mock draft yourself out of this front office, out of this coaching staff, out of this situation. Like, one player, unless you're talking about someone like a Joe Burrow, isn't changing this entire defense, isn't changing the fact that they can't block stunts. It's not changing the fact that they choose to kick field goals instead of trusting Joe Burrow to go for it on fourth down. So, like, I never understood the mock draft thing. I know that we all have been into the mock drafts, but honestly, the reason that we've been in the mock drafts is because those were times that the Bengals weren't a good team. And so that was the most exciting thing that you had to look forward to back in the day was the mock draft because you were trying to improve the team. A mock draft doesn't improve a team that should be in the Super Bowl window right now. And one player is not going to change that. But to get away from that and get back to the game, the frustrating thing for me was watching the punts happen, right? Watching the offense of the Chargers just really run up and down the field. And the thing that was the most frustrating to me was even though Justin Herbert was doing his thing, I felt like the Chargers did not have an answer for Jamar Chase in the Bengals offense. And I felt like the Bengals kind of handicapped themselves in that first half more so than it was, oh, this Chargers defense is so great and they're stopping them. At no point did I ever feel threatened by the Chargers defense at all in the first half throughout this game. Like, the only thing that I felt like the Chargers defense did good on was stopping the run. But like anytime that the Bengals looked for a pass or were aggressive, they ended up getting it. And to me, it just didn't seem like Zach came out in this game wanting to win and having the right feel for the game. Like, one of the things that really pissed me off early on is the Bengals could have gone for it, and I believe they were trailing in this game, and they could have gone for it on 4th down, and they settled for like a 26-yard field goal from Evan McPherson or something like that. And it was like the Chargers were up by a couple scores, probably the situation where you should just take the field goal, and they still went for it on 4th down. And to me, like, take that in conjunction with why the hell was Tanner Hudson on the field so much? Like, I've seen so many questionable things when it comes to like the personnel, where it's like Mike Gesicki just had an amazing game literally 2 games ago, and I'm not seeing him out there. I'm literally seeing him being used as an inline blocker and Tanner Hudson going out for routes. And it's like, where's the disconnect where it seems like our staff doesn't even realize like what player strengths are? I'm not a coach. I don't get paid for anything on the NFL, but like everybody knows Mike Gesicki cannot block. Like that's not his strong suit. He's more of like a big wide receiver. So seeing Jordan Battle not get any snaps after you already know what you've seen from Von Bell, seeing Geno Stone get a bunch of plays and like no Dejon Anthony, nobody in at all. Like seeing Sam Hubbard come out with a report talking about, yeah, hey guys, I'm not 100%. That's why I'm feeling like I am, and still not seeing Myles Murphy get any snaps. Like, to me, it's just like, bro, how many times are you going to make the same mistakes? And to me, that was the most frustrating thing, which is why I kind of aimed at the coaches early. Yes, the players have to execute, but I just got so tired of kind of seeing some of the same things. And it's like, not this game, bro. Like, we can't do, like, we could do this last week. We could do this 2 weeks ago. Not when we need it, not when we're staring down 4-7 in the face. And so for me, that's what kind of led to me kind of crashing out, was like, I just felt in my head we were so much better than this team and we weren't playing like it. Like,
you were doing a live?
You said, what's up?
You were doing a live stream?
Nah, I was just live tweeting. I was just live tweeting my thoughts. And I was just like, bro, like no offense to Tanner Hudson, but like we've seen him this, like he never gets anywhere close to like a first down.
Why did the Bengals draft 11 players and one of them be Tanner McLachlan? Eric All goes out for the season, and we don't see Tanner McLachlan at all.
At all.
Why was Tanner Hudson? This been a theme. The personnel choices, that was another thing out of what you're saying that really like was kind of pissing me off. Why are we as fans having to question the personnel every single week? Like there's always something. People, this wasn't even that long ago. Remember Zach Moss was getting all those carries over Chase Brown? Yep. Like, people try to label me a Chase Brown hater just because I want to mix him, but I want to mix him and Chase Brown together, right? And they be like, yeah, check out Chase Brown now. I'm like, yeah, he should get more carries. And it's so crazy because little stuff like that. Like, why did it take them that long? Why did it take a Zach Moss injury for them to say that Chase Brown should get the brunt of the carries? Why did, like Von Bell's situation with Battle, like, why does it take so long? Like, why right now, you're talking about Tanner Hudson? We just signed a kid, Isaiah Williams, I think is his name or whatever. Why is Trent Irwin still returning kicks?
No, it's mind-boggling. And
like, what is that?
Seeing this stuff and then seeing the score be 24-6, and this is what, year 3 or year 4 of them struggling against stunts. It's like, you guys haven't implemented anything. Like, I don't know. Like, so for me to bring it to something that people can relate to, not saying that I'm like, this is like anywhere near being a professional coach, right? We talk all the time about like the U basketball teams, right? So like this weekend, we had to play a team that was the number 1 team in the league. First time we played them, we should have beat them. They ended up beating us 17-10, right? First thing that I did is I went back and watched the tape, and I figured out these are things that we did wrong. We had the ball in ball handlers' hands that were not good at dribbling. They led to a lot of turnovers. There were things that we did. They tried to run a certain defense on us. We couldn't move the ball around. The first thing that I did was I looked at it and I said, all right, well, if they're going to run this 2-3 zone defense, I'm going to start putting people up at the top with screens so that we can move the ball around.
I saw that in the clip. You know, I was about to tell you. I said, "Hey, I told you about those screens. Meet that boy at the half court." I seen that on one of Moon clips.
Yes, sir. And then like they kind of peeped. We were pretty predictable the first time with the defense that we were running. We ran the same defense the whole time. Guess what? I started out this defense with man-to-man instead of a trap. And to me, like those are things that you can try to do to throw people off. But when you're just throwing the same stuff out there and expecting the same, like expecting different results, that's the part where I just don't understand it. You know, teams are going to use the stunts. We all know that by now. Like we're fans that are sitting back. Now we obviously have to analyze and do stuff and look a little bit more than the average fan. But even the average fan can look at this and say, "Hey guys, the stunts are coming."
Yeah,
and to still not have an answer for that, and for that to be a reason that it just kills your offense, it's just like, why is it that simple for teams to be able to plan against us? Like, hey guys, just run stunts against the Bengals offense and you'll be fine.
I will say this: in the Chargers defense, they get paid too, right? One of the first things I tweeted was when Joe was trying to step up early in the game. They looked at the tape from the Ravens in the same way he was trying to step up early in the game. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do the same thing I just cooked the Ravens with." They did go 2 drives with them stunts, but I did think that the Bengals adjusted later, and it took them too long to adjust, to your point. But I would give Chargers credit that they saw that on tape, and then it came back with the stunts and not just it was like a delayed Texas stunt. And those are something that I don't know if Burrow was anticipating or whatever, but it totally and then Thule, as we came into the matchup, I said, I'm more worried about Thule with the interior, but they lined him up in a foul tech on what we call a shoulder on Mims. They lined him up there. They moved him around a little bit, and I was more afraid of Thule coming into this game, and Thule cooked up. I thought Bosa is a shell of himself if you watch him throughout the season because they've had him on a pitch count. Their fans have been like, yeah, they're going to play him more, and da-da-da-da. The hope is there. He had some good rushes or whatever. Burrow broke out of some crazy stuff. Like, Burrow was, fighting for his life. Early in the game, too, I wanted to point out, too, it seems very small now, especially when the defense is playing so bad, as I pointed out the defense. But when you play a good team like the Chargers, I do think the Chargers are a good thing. I think they're a first-round exit, if I'm being honest. But I do think that they're a competent playoff team. But when you're playing a good team, you can't settle for field goals. So we'll get into the second half, but in the first half of the game, the Bengals coming away with 2 field goals, I immediately, based off of the way that this team is constructed. This is the realest thing that I must say. And a lot of people are expecting the Bengals to be the Steelers, or not even just be the Steelers, but you're expecting the Bengals to do something. But before the season, we all knew. The person that's saying, why is this defense getting cooked? You're probably the same person that said, why didn't they re-sign Reader? Why are they just getting stoned? Why are they not bringing in somebody else? So, but then you move with your optimism and say, well, that's the Bengals. I think, I got Joe Burrow and whatever. So we knew going into the season, this defense isn't going to be one of the cream of the crop defenses in the AFC North. In hindsight, it's easy to say, okay, well, Dax Hill got hurt, all these different things. Another personnel thing I think is very bad is why did they let Zach Carter play that long? That's another conversation too. Yeah. But Dax Hill and guys like that going out, I'm not excusing them, but it goes hand in hand with the fact that they don't have a TJ Watt. They don't have a Minka Fitzpatrick. They don't have stars on the defense outside of Trey Hendrickson. And you could make an argument before the season, Cam Taylor-Britt was a budding star that was supposed to be a star, right? But outside of that, the Bengals front office was cheap, and they spent the big money on Joe Burrow. And so the team is constructed to get a lead. They're not constructed to have a team come out there and beat them up in the first half of a game and make stops and do all this stuff. And when they do it, like last week against the Ravens, they did come out and they did get to them early, and it was 21-7. And then the dam will eventually break with them. because my expectation levels of them aren't as high as others, I think. And I think a lot of people get very frustrated with the defense sometimes, and I do too. But coming into the season, I knew that Burrow had to be a top 3 quarterback in the National Football League. I also knew that the Bengals offense had to be a top 3 offense. Like, period. That was non-negotiable. They had to score 27 plus points. And that's not to say that the defense isn't at fault, but you knew coming into the season that did you really think that the defense was really going to cook like that with Sheldon Rankins and McKinley Jackson? And like, I know that I'm a big optimist and I really love my team, but I thought that the Bengals could be a middle of the pack defense. Turns out to be a really bad defense and way worse than I think. And the injuries early and all these different things. I just think that because of that, I think a lot of people gloss past the fact that Joe Burrow and the Bengals, yes, they're playing the number 1 scoring defense, right? But the Chargers hadn't played nobody like the Bengals. The best team that they had played was the Cardinals as far as offensive output, and the Cardinals cooked them. The Bengals, as good as Joe Burrow is, and as good as they're probably allowed 4 or 5 games a whole entire season where they don't score 27 points, period. Like that's the way that the Bengals are created. And that's how I start off all of my games, and that's how I look at them until they show me star power on the defensive end. We're looking at stopgap guys and guys that are a little old in the tooth, like Sam Hubbard, that are hampered with injuries, and expecting them to do something that I don't think that they're capable of. And in the coaching portion of it, everybody looks confused all the time. And it's been like that for 2 years. Everybody looks confused. When they're in simple cover 3 combinations, you got a play where Cam Taylor-Britt is in the middle of no man's land. You got DJ Turner kind of like, I don't know where to go. And Geno Stone is like, hey, you over there on the outside. By the time he go like that, Herbert's like, the ball's thrown in the end zone. And I'm like, why are we in week 11 trying to communicate to dudes that have been here all this time? This ain't Dejon Anthony and rookies that this is their first time, their first rodeo. Then when the rookie comes in, he's strapping up like new. But the guys that been here, they all confused. So everybody that's saying it's coaching or the players and all these different things like that, you're all right. And that's the makeup of a bad team. And then when the one thing that's supposed to be the calling card of the team, like we got the best wide receivers in football. I'm the first one to say it, right? Migos 2.0, like we cooking.
Right.
Goes out there, he's trying to get style points on the catch. You got T. Higgins with an early drop, but he atones for it. But all these small little things, the Bengals get 2 field goals first half. And to me, every time that the Bengals score 30 points or something like that, everybody's always excusing it. And cool, you don't have to play perfect football. But good teams do not in any circumstances settle for field goals and think that they're going to win football games. It just doesn't work that way.
For sure. Before we continue, just want to let you guys know that this show is powered by BETUS. They have a new promotion that they're going on with right now. You can get 150% match on your first deposit. All you have to do is use promo code YouTube150. That's promo code YouTube150 to get that 150% match on your first deposit. Make sure that you check them out. Right now, they got Monday Night Football going on. I think I'm on a little streak with the parlays right now in terms of the money line parlays. I think all I need is Houston to win tonight. But check them out. They'll get you right. The one thing that I want to say, man, is a lot of people talking about the line and this and that. The offensive interior line is horrible. I got some numbers here that I'm going to read here off of PFF. When it comes to guards that have given up the most sacks in the NFL, both of our guards are up there. Cordell Volson is tied for first in the league with 5 given up. Alex Kappa has 4. Quarterback hits. Cordell Volson has given up the second most quarterback hits at the guard position. Now, mind you, this is with 64 guards, people. This is not just 32. This is like 60-plus guys. He's given up 8. I believe Alex Kappa has given up 4. When it comes to hurries, just pressures, right? When we talk about pressures, Cordell Volson and Alex Kappa are both tied for second in the NFL with the most pressures given up at the guard position. They have 20 apiece, both of them. So you're talking about 40 pressures just between them, right? When it comes to Ted Karras, he's not as bad as them. He hasn't played amazing, but he's also given up 2 sacks. I don't have his pressure numbers. I'll get those pulled up. But this interior offensive line is not good. Some people are like, oh, well, Matt Lee is a 7th-round pick. At this point, I don't care because we have the worst guards in football right now from a statistical standpoint blocking for Joe Burrow right now. Now, this is not to just excuse Joe Burrow or anything like that. That's not my point here. But the point is that this interior has been trashed for 3 years in a row and nothing has been done to change it. Like, yes, you don't have Orlando Brown Jr. Yes, you might have had, people go down to the tackle position, but that does not excuse the interior. Like, now we're going into another season of the interior being an issue. And honestly, it played a part, I think, in this game because Joe Burrow didn't want to step up in the pocket. And I'm going to be honest, I think one of the adjustments in the second half was forcing Joe Burrow to trust the offensive line because he kept bailing a lot in the first half. He kept running out of the pocket. And I think that affected the offense. So, not just putting it on the offensive line, but it also kind of affected Joe's effectiveness with him not trusting the line. And as we get into the second half, and they started to kind of trust each other, I think that's when you saw improvements happen in this game. Because I noticed that Joe just wouldn't bail or try to scramble out. He just stayed in the pocket, stepped up, and tried to make the play regardless of whether he was going to get hit or not. But in the second half, that's where this team flips the switch, looks completely different than they did in the first half. We talking about first half where they put up 6. Second half, they put up 21. They're on fire. Joe's going crazy. Defense is there to play, like you said. So the interesting thing is they take CTB out of the game. They bench him. They bring in Newton. Fig Newton makes plays. Fig Newton looks like a starter. DJ Turner makes some super clutch plays in the game, but ends up getting hurt. But the defense just really turned it on in the second half. I think it was a tweet. I can't remember the exact number, but it was like Herbert was like 6 for 20 or something like that on like his second half passes. It was something bad.
They did what they had to do to me.
Yeah, they did what they had to do. But to me, the coaching decisions that happened at the end of this game, and it always seems like the Bengals do the right thing. They make the right moves when they're trailing. When it's them coming back to try to tie the game up, it's like, all right, yeah, we're gonna go for it on 4th down. This is a game that do you know what their percentage was? Their conversion percentage was on 4th down in this game? 100%. Every single time they went for it, they got it. They were 3 for 3 on 4th down conversions in this game. The decision making. Well, before we get into the negative stuff, talk about the positive, bro, because I sat here and kind of went through it a little fast. I know that you probably want to cook about them making the comeback. So talk about how the offense caught fire or defense and what you felt about the second half.
I mean, honestly, it's going to sound maybe a little crazy. I know people, I've seen this guy showing a stat in the chat a lot in the numbers for Burrow. I expect him to do that. I like a lot of people have been like, Burrow, he's first in yards and he's first in touchdown. I expect it. That's what I think he's the best quarterback in football. When we were down 27-6, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if I thought we were going to come back and win because the defense was playing so bad. But I was like, you're not about to keep Joe Burrow down for a whole game like that. And I think Chargers fans was hit me up. It's like, yeah, what's up? I'm like, Joe Burrow, he's going to come back and do something. But I thought them getting the fumble on Herbert and getting the stops and stuff. I mean, I've never seen Joe Burrow look like that in a game. I've never seen Joe Burrow look like how Herbert looked. It's you could take that for whatever you want. You can spin it however you want. I don't know. I just never seen him look like that outside of the hurt game that he had with the Browns or whatever. I just thought he looked totally unmatched. In the second half, with the Bengals defense, and the defense set them up. And I thought that the Bengals tied the score up 27-27. I'm thinking it's over. I got QB1, 12 minutes left. And me and you were talking about this, off camera. And I'm going to tell y'all, if another quarterback had that opportunity and they didn't get it, there would be no context. Now, mind you, this outside looking in opinion, nobody's going to care about the interior offensive line. Nobody's going to care about coaching. Nobody's going to care about none of that stuff. They're going to say you had the ball and the game was tied up with 12 minutes left and you didn't win the game. And to me, that was like my biggest takeaway, I think, overall on the game. I know that the kicking is going to be a big conversation piece, and we'll talk about Evan McPherson. But if you follow like my tweets coming out, before that game, before the drive, when we got it down and it was like 4 minutes left, now mind you, I'm not thinking we're going to have 3 chances to do so. But I immediately tweeted out, you got to score a touchdown. Like, under no circumstances am I thinking I'm even kicking a field goal. Like, now, I think you've been talking more so about going for it on 4th down, setting that conversation up. I'm more so thinking I'm going to drive down the field, and I'm not even going to have a conversation about a 4th down. I'm about to go down there and win the game. I got Joe B. Like, that's just my train of thought. And from the outside looking in, y'all can show numbers, you can show touchdowns, you can show whatever you want to show. When Herbert didn't do it, when Josh Allen didn't do it, and everybody and all their fans was like, it's their defense and nobody cared. When you win or you lose, you're going to win with your quarterback and you're going to lose with your quarterback, no matter how you think that that's fair or not. It's not fair. Life ain't fair. Tie ball game. I'm thinking he's going to go down there and score a touchdown. You wanted to talk about the 4th down, I think, or like the decisions on 4th down. Once he didn't get, that, and then the 2 drives that went well now. Both the drives went from 50-something, 60 yards. He does drive all the way down the field.
Once again, man, I didn't feel like any point that the Chargers could stop this offense. They couldn't stop T. Higgins. They couldn't stop Jamar Chase. They couldn't stop Joe Burrow. The decision, like when I saw them coming down and we got the ball and it's tied up, I'm always thinking with anybody that has a quarterback or anybody that's trying to win the game is thinking this is 4 down territory. The way that this game is going, the way that we're at a disadvantage, it being on the road, the way that it's going with momentum, with it being in your favor, you just kind of know these things. And like, for some reason, Zach doesn't, it's not automatic to him. I don't know if it's a situation where a lot of people talk about the analytics. They don't lean on the analytics. The analytics say go for it. So I don't, the feel that he has in these circumstances.
4th and 8 or the 4th and 10.
It wasn't a 4th and 10. It was a 4th and 8 and it was a 4th and 6. Like 4th and 10, sure. Like 4th and 12. But we've gone for it on 4th and 12. Like we went for it on 4th and 12 with Andy Dalton. Like this is Joe Burrow. This is Jamar Chase. Like if you don't think that they can get 7 or 9 yards, what are we doing then? Like they've been able to get it the entire game. And this is a team that was 3 for 3 on 4th down conversion. So it's not like, hey, I can understand if earlier we went for it in the game and we didn't get it. And it's like, all right, cool. If you were 1 for 3 or 1 for 2 or whatever, like, sure, you were 3 for 3 and they couldn't stop you. Like they didn't have an answer for you whatsoever. And I'm not going to let like a drop pass by Jamar Chase or T. Higgins on a 3rd down stop me from going right back to him. Like to me, like this is the season. And we kind of talked about not knowing your personnel. Do you not know that Evan McPherson is struggling this season? Like that's not, or do you not know that he's 0 for 3 in the last 3 games from 50 yards? Do you not know that Like, are you not looking at the numbers that he hasn't? You don't even need analytics to know that he hasn't been good this season. Like, I just don't understand. The guy is a 70% field goal percent. He has a 70% field goal percentage this season. And you're talking about letting that guy kick it from the 50? Not a situation where you're at midfield or you're asking him to kick a 60-yarder or something. You're on the Chargers 30-yard line. The 30-yard line. This dude is missing 40. Thank you, Ben. He's missing 40-yard kicks, and you throwing him out there over Joe Burrow? Over Joe Burrow. Like, I don't think anybody.
I'm more upset that we're even in that spot. But
it's the NFL. Like, this is the number one defense statistically scoring wise in the NFL. So it's not supposed to be easy. And I mean, this is a quarter that you already put up 21 consecutive points. So you're not just gonna keep running it off. Like, you're gonna have to go for it on fourth down. And they did in this game. They went for it on fourth down in this game already. The Chargers went for it on fourth down. To me, it's just like, bro, I could completely understand if I got Derek Carr, and I know he just caught a stray, but if I got Derek Carr at quarterback and I'm not sure who I got at quarterback, sure, I'm gonna play conservative. If I got Trent Irwin at receiver, he's my receiver one. You know what I mean? Sure, I might not go for it. I might have to trust Evan McPherson. Like, bro, I don't care if I have an elite kicker with the game on the line and I'm going against Justin Herbert. I'm getting 7. And to me, getting 7 meant you had to go for it on fourth down. And I just don't understand what Zach's mindset in is if I trust Joe Burrow to be perfect in this offense to the point where he has to make the perfect throw every time, I have enough confidence in him that I literally tailor my offense to be around that, no matter the deficiencies that I have around him with the offensive line and all of that. Why the hell am I not trusting him with the game on the line? I get it, bro, but I don't get it. Like, Joe Burrow, if this is the Super Bowl, are you cool with him being like, hey, it's fourth down, I got Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but you know what? Let's go with Evan McPherson. I'm not good with that, bro. Like, because at the end of the day, if that's Tom Brady, if that's Peyton Manning, if that's Pat Mahomes, if that's Lamar Jackson, they're going for it. You paid him all of this money to go for it.
I think our arguments are very close. They're very similar in.
I'm not arguing what you're saying. I'm just saying in general, like.
Yeah. We're not even arguing at all. I think. Well, let me rephrase it. Your point and my point, because I don't feel like arguing with people. I just know. I know how this is going to go. At the end of this, when we get to 2025, 2026, whatever, this is going to be Justin Herbert beat Joe Burrow. It's not going to be context. It's going to be that's the way that football goes. And people are choosing to ignore that portion of this in the overall conversation. To get to the fourth down, I hear you. I don't know. Like, I'm either way. It could go either way, bro. If they went with McPherson and they didn't, I had no confidence in McPherson. But at the same time, 4th and 8, I don't know. It's a little tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not here to judge that decision. Like, that decision, I think that's more of your point. My point is, I got QB1. I ain't even trying to see a fourth down. I'm trying to put 7 on somebody's head right there. And this is over. Because if you don't, in the quarterbacks in the Herberts of the world, the ones that have been getting all these numbers all this time, the Josh Allens that have been getting all these numbers all this time, do you know what their fan base has been saying all this time? Our offensive line is trash. We don't have this. We don't have that. We don't got this. We don't got that. Herbert been the main one. His defense been terrible. But now that the Bengals are in the same in all this time, we've been like, man, shut up. You ain't got no playoff wins. Get out of our face. Like, we're not trying to hear none of that. They had all the context in the world. Nobody listened to none of that. And I still don't. I think Joe Burrow's better, right? Nobody's going to be trying to hear none of this. Like, from the outside, I seen probably 2-3 ops already messaging joint. Joe Burrow missed out open Jamar Chase. They don't care about none of that stuff. And at the end of the day, the optics of it, I know that I probably represent the minority in this. The game is tied. I understand what Joe Burrow has done to get us to it. I understand that we would be a 2-win team without him. I understand that Joe Burrow has a lot to go with the interior offensive line. I understand he has a bad kicker. I understand all these different things. I also watched Josh Allen yesterday up 2 points against a better defense, a top 3 defense in the Chiefs. To your point, go for it. On 4th down, he runs it in, trucks a dude in the process, and ices it. That's going to be the takeaway for everybody. And I know that's not fair, but that's the way that football and the NFL is marketed, and that is the way that it works. He won the game at the end of it, and Joe Burrow did not. And that's the way that it's going to go. Whether we like it as Bengal fans or not, we're going to say, bro, he got us back in the game. Nobody cares, bro. I'm just letting you know, like, straight up, like, nobody cares about that. The game was tied with 12 minutes left in the game, and the Bengals did not win. When we walk away from this game, they're going to go to StatMuse. It's going to be next year, and they're going to say Joe Burrow's 0-3 versus Justin Herbert. Nobody's going to, on the Chargers side, no Ravens fan, no Steelers fan, nobody's going to come back and say, well, Joe Burrow would have won that, but the kicker, that's not the way that this goes. And that's the way that we've been playing it all this time, when we've been smashing quarterbacks like off the radar and knocking their teams out left and right. That's the way we've been doing since 2001. I didn't care about that concept. Remember, the Bills fans was crying about the snow, the white uniforms, and whatever else. Remember, the Chiefs had a conspiracy theory the first time we beat them? They wrote a whole news article. We said we don't care. Pat Mahomes had a bad defense when he first started off his career. They cried about that for 2 years. They went and got him a defense later on, right? We're a whole entire franchise that got iced by Joe Montana, not because he had numbers, not because he got him back in the game, not because he scored a whole bunch of points. It's because at the end of the game, he went and iced us and took away our Super Bowl. And that's kind of how I look at football. It's like, you win with your quarterback, you're going to lose with your quarterback. And that might be a tough pill for a lot of people to swallow, bro. But that's just the way I keep it very consistent. I think that Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in football. I think Joe Burrow can't be stopped. I think Joe Burrow has a bad coach that is not helping him out. I think he doesn't have a good defense. I think that anybody else probably get stomped out in that same game. But once the game is tied, the defense stepped up, as you already said, in this game. I don't even want to see a 4th down, bro. Like the missed Jamar Chase throw, the throw where that's game. That's game. The Yoshi throw, I get it. His pocket is sped up. Everything's sped up. Boom. You got to hit Jamar open. We could go back if we want. We can go back to week 1. Joe Burrow got the ball, minute 30 seconds. Patriots game. 3 and out. We could go to Chiefs game. He was up 2 scores. Fumble. 4 plays. Gives the ball back to Mahomes. They 4th and 16 us. We could go to the Ravens game. At the end of the game, and people are going to say, Jim, you're a lunatic. Why are you putting out all this stuff? I get it. The numbers are the numbers. You wouldn't be nothing without Joe Burrow. I got a Joe Burrow shirt on. I hit Joe Burrow's father up every other day and say, how's your day going, Mr. Burrow? How you doing, coach? I'm the biggest Joe Burrow fan in the world. But in order for me to go online and give that man glory and tell everybody and preach the gospel of Nineism and cook, there is no context to this. This is the way it's set up, and I hate it. But that's the way that this goes. When teams lose, your quarterback is going to take the L. If you win, your quarterback is going to receive all the glory. And so part of what I'm saying is, if Joe hits that Jamar Chase joint that is open right there, I'm going to be the loudest person online telling everybody in the world that nobody can stop 9. And these ops, they know that. They know that. That's why they come back to me every time and be like, ha, I got you. They're waiting for that moment. In all the context that we have for the bad front office, roster, all that stuff, they ain't gonna care. They're gonna say, y'all said y'all was gonna go. Y'all said y'all went back to back. They're not gonna care about none of that, bro. And I get it. And McPherson, if he hits both the field goals, maybe this conversation is super different. But going into those drives, this is not a hindsight thing. I said that. I literally tweeted, Joe, go give me 7 right now. And I know that it's a messed up thing to say.
I think the context of saying like they took it out of his hands though, bro. Like he can't say I'm going for it on 4th down. Like Zac Taylor took that opportunity away from him, and that's the only issue I have with it. It's different if Joe Burrow goes for it on 4th down and doesn't get it. Yeah, Joe, you didn't get me 7, but when you're on the 30-yard line of the Chargers and you take that opportunity from the guy that's supposed to be the number 1 quarterback in the league twice, when anybody else isn't doing that, like I can't put that on Joe. I can't put that on him. That's the only part that I disagree with.
I'm not putting it on him. I'm not blaming him. I'm not saying it's Joe's fault. I'm not saying none of that. We're gonna look as a community, we're gonna win together, we're gonna lose together.
Right.
I'm not putting it on anybody. But
I gotta put it on these coaches, bro. Like
I don't have to put it on anybody. I'm just telling you my expectation level. I think Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in football. I got the ball with 12 minutes left, I got a tied up ball game. I don't care how I got there.
He is done though this season.
How I got there, that's my ex-girlfriend. I don't care about her.
But what he's done this season, bro, I can't. Like this man has like turned water into wine with what he has right now. Like we're expecting even more from him.
You're doing that thing. You're doing that thing that they do online to me. They're trying to paraphrase what I'm saying. No. The totality of Joe Burrow. Remember, I prefaced this with Joe Burrow has made it so that you're even in the game. Without him, we all agree. You're and people are saying he got to be perfect. No, you got 3 chances to go ice this joint.
He does have to be perfect with this circumstance. He does. He does with this offensive line, with this coaching staff, with this defense. He literally has to be perfect, bro. He literally has to be.
I don't think so. I think at the beginning of the game, you settled for 2 field goals. You had drive stall out, and you ended the first half with 6 points. That's nowhere near perfect. I'm not asking for that. Then he comes back and does what we know that he could do. He ties the game up. I appreciate that. Awesome, right? No problem. That's not perfection. That's him being the best quarterback in the NFL, constructed the way that the team is supposed to be. I'm not saying that Joe Burrow has 3 chances and the game falls on him. Remember, this is coaching. This is front office. This is the defense. This is all of that. But check out how we're losing a lot of these games, whether it's at the end. I'll have the same conversation about Mike Hilton in that spot, right? This is how consistent the conversation is. I love Mike Hilton to death. I think Mike Hilton is one of the best playmakers that the Bengals have on defense. But Mike Hilton had a chance to go and ice the game. I don't then come back and say, well, Mike Hilton's had such a great season. I'm going to act like I didn't see him drop a pick 6. No, you dropped the pick 6. You know what I'm saying? Like, to ignore the plays in the game is kind of crazy to me. Like, from the outside looking in, they're just saying those plays,
bro. You can't ignore them taking the ball out of his hands. They didn't trust him with the game on the line. And this isn't the first time they've done that. Like, they did it in the 49ers game a few years ago. Like, and this has been a topic that we've talked about. Like, stop taking the game out of Joe Burrow's hands. If you feel like you trust him, this dude is number 1 in the league in QBR, passing yards, touchdowns. He's not throwing picks. I just like, why is he not being counted on in those situations?
He was.
Oh, man.
I'm just saying.
we're asking like why we're losing these games is obvious. That's why, like, yeah, you might hear
we're
ops
not losing the games,
online,
bro. I want to make this very clear. We're not losing because of Joe Burrow.
but
You're
okay.
in the games because of Joe Burrow. I need to
The
make that
ops are
very
saying
clear.
that though. The ops are, oh, you guys are losing because of Joe Burrow. Nobody in the media is saying that. Like, if you listen to anybody that talks about this, they're like, what else can Joe Burrow do? Everybody's trying to like save Joe Burrow because he's not to blame in any of this. Like
Joe Burrow at the end of the game went 1 for 8.
Joe Burrow at the end of the game went 1 for 8. Are we talking about after he gets the ball back after the second missed field goal where he has to throw a Hail Mary? Yeah, he's probably not gonna, like, he had 18 seconds. What are we expecting?
Okay.
I don't know, bro. I just
okay. Hey, look, I love Joe Burrow, so
yeah, bro. They took 2 field goals at the end of the game, like with the game on the line and tie. I just don't
why
understand
they
how
ain't get
that's
no
his fault.
touchdown off them?
You said what?
Why didn't they get first downs? So like
Nobody always gets first downs. Like, we've seen Lamar go for it. When Lamar went for it on us and he threw that thing into the end zone,
Lamar
what down was it? Was it 4th down?
Lamar came back from 21-6 and then iced us.
But Lamar Jackson on the one where he scrolls out and he did the whole little thing like that. That was on 4th down. That was not like they're not gonna be like, hey, Justin Tucker, come out and save us.
That was 3rd down.
That wasn't 4th down?
Because if they one of my biggest arguments in that game is that if they stopped them right there on that 3rd down, then you would then go into 4th down and make them kick a field goal. And then remember, Joe Burrow comes down the field and scores potentially the game-winning touchdown. The defense failed us in that moment where they weren't. The defense
went for it on 4th down from their own 34 before with Lamar Jackson.
But you said that play at the end.
Okay, so not that play, but another play that's even less of a reason to go for it on 4th down. They went for it. Like, you have Joe Burrow, bro. Like, you got to go for it. It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. I mean, I think the conversation, the way I view football is game to game, play to play. The totality of the situation is a different conversation. The totality is the relevant. Like, Joe Burrow makes the Bengals relevant. Joe Burrow's everything. Like, see how I'm giving everybody what they want to hear because I'm the number one Joe Burrow fan. You know what I'm saying? And part of that, though, is that I understand the totality of Joe Burrow. I understand the totality of the season. I understand the totality of the game. But when we start going through, and the reason why I watch film and the reason why I watch games or whatever is because I like to analyze like what I'm seeing afterwards. And so once I get to plays and watching film, they don't know about stats and they don't know about what has transpired before. They don't know about any of these different things. It's play to play. I'm looking at each play and saying, how can we beat this coverage? How can we do this? How can we do this? And I'm asking these questions on every single play. So I think what you're saying is the totality of Joe Burrow, which I do agree with. Like, he played his ass off. Joe Burrow, he balled out. He balled out in a lot of situations. A bigger issue in the totality of it is the front office being cheap and screwing us over and putting Joe Burrow in this spot where I think people are classifying as perfect. I'm not saying perfect. I think people are saying perfect. I think you used the word perfect just now. I don't think that is being perfect, but I do think that the front office has a big hand in this because had they given us a better defense, then maybe he's not trying to come back or 27-27 at the end of the game with 12 minutes left. Maybe he's up 27-14 because he has a better defense. Maybe that they give him a better interior offensive line, so maybe the hits don't happen early in the game. So then later on, he's not even thinking about getting hit, right? So maybe he steps into the throw with Jamar Chase. All of these things are all factors, but I'm just telling you the totality of when you walk away from a game and we beat a team or we lose to a team, you win and you lose with your quarterback. And you could say that it's McPherson and everything like that, and I would agree. Like, he's trash, and I think McPherson should probably get cut. But it's Burrow versus Herbert. Like that's the way that the NFL watches football.
It's Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh's part of that conversation too, because they just
You're
got
choosing to make it
they just got rid of their coach for the same things. Like similar things was happening with Brandon Staley last year. So like to me, like, and I said that coming in, I told you privately, I was like, bro, I don't know about Harbaugh versus Zac Taylor. Like I think Harbaugh is gonna outcoach him.
right.
But I mean, in these debates, when you talk about quarterback, I do agree because they don't even bring that up. When we bring it up, we talk about how Mahomes has Andy Reid and like Joe Burrow doesn't have that. But yeah, if you're talking about the opposition, yeah, they're gonna do whatever to take away from Joe Burrow.
I just think I'm looking at it too from an overall national media standpoint and a lot of different things that you'll see like afterwards. When they go to Stat News or people go to Google stuff, they look at people's records. McPherson, Harbaugh, and all these people aren't going to pull up. It's going to pull up Joe Burrow and it's going to pull up Herbert. That's just the reality of it. Is it fair? No. But we literally did the same thing with Mahomes. We were like, yeah, we 3-1. You know what I mean? So like, you know what I mean? So like it goes both ways. And that's just my message to everybody. Like you could choose to in a moment, but when we get to 2025, we're going to forget a lot of these plays. When we get to 2026, you might not remember any of these plays. It's going to be, what is your record? Did you win? Did you lose? And we look at football from a big standpoint on the quarterback position. You talked about coaching. What do you think is the aftermath of the coaching situation in this game? Is it everybody? Is it just Lou? Where are we at?
If you're talking about just this game, they're going to get bailed out because the Bengals came back in this one. So I don't think anybody is going to get removed now. I think if this season continues how it is, I think you're going to see everybody going, bro. I'm going to be honest. Like, from hearing what Jamar Chase had to say, seeing Burrow kind of get kind of tired of like the situation and how things are going, and him just feeling like it's so hard for him to just have to try to manage this situation. I think you'll see. I can't see Frank Pollack, Zac Taylor, and Lou Anarumo surviving this. I just don't see it. Like I don't see Jamar Chase signing up for another season of that. Like I don't see it happening, bro. Like, and I don't think. And if Jamar isn't signing up for it, I can't see how Joe is. So like I think at minimum, Lou and Frank Pollack are gone. I don't think that's a question if this continues to happen. Now, if they make the playoffs, that's the only way that saves all of their jobs. I think if they don't make the playoffs, these people talking about no one's going anywhere. I don't think Joe Burrow and those guys are going for that.
I think if Zach doesn't make the playoffs, I think he's gone. I think at the very minimum, Pollack and Lou Anarumo are gone. Like it could happen during the bye. It could. I think
I don't think it'll happen just because now
it would have happened right away, right?
If this would have been continued 28-6, if this would have been Bengals lose by 2 scores, I think those 2 guys are gone. But the fact that they were there, Mike Brown and them are going to be like, they were almost there, and then we were.
See, what we have right now, it reminds me of when me and you first linked up on social media. This is an Andy Dalton situation. Like we're getting close to that. I've been evaluating all season. If people follow the show, I haven't came on here and said fire anybody. I'm there. It's time. Like this is it. This to me, all of this, the conversations, like the one that we just had about Burrow, all of these different things about personnel issues. I don't know if y'all listened to Jamar Chase's comments afterwards and said, I believe in my teammates.
Yeah.
I believe in my teammates. You had to ask Zach about coaching. Burrow been asked about the coach, maybe like about the changes, maybe not. That doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement from quarterback from QB1, right? If they don't win and go to the playoffs, I think he's gone. I think that the way that our front office moves, I could see them making a move on Lou. The only reason why I think that they won't is because the defense still plays so hard in the back end of that game. Had that game kept on going like how it was going, I think that would have been it. I think that was the game. But the way that they fought back, I think that they say, well, he hasn't lost the locker room and guys are still fighting. I do think the change is coming out of this bye. By the time we go to play the Steelers, I really think that you should see a whole bunch of changes around, especially the biggest indictment on Lou is watching a guy like Josh Newton that's had an opportunity to play all this time. He waited 11 weeks, and then this dude comes in there and outperforms the guy that is currently right now. Cam Taylor-Britt is leading the National Football League in most yards allowed and most touchdowns with 8 that are been given up on the whole entire season. You waited 11 weeks to get this guy completely out of the lineup or bench him for a couple plays, and then the guy that you bring in outplays him immediately. That is a huge indictment. A huge indictment on the assessment of talent from the coach. Now, he might say, well, that's not on me. I don't know how that process works, but he does make the calls on who starts and who doesn't. And the fact that he waited that long, the fact that they waited that long on Zach Carter, like when the season was getting away from us early, we still was running Zach Carter out there. The fact that you brought a guy off the couch in Lawrence Guy that ain't been playing no football, he been eating pizza with me, comes out there and outperforms him, another big indictment. You then go out on a limb, you get Von Bell for free because you said that that's your guy. The tape looks bad. It looks really bad. And then the guy that was the all PFF rookie in battle, which is very important for a team that's going to draft heavy, they have to play their starters they have to play their rookies early. They have to. They're not going to be big players in free agency, and you choose to sit that guy on the bench, and you're playing a guy that's less than, that's a big – the only thing that made Lou is what you're saying, the equity built up in the runs. Cool. I give you that. He had that with me too. But the confusion levels, he makes me question, is Dax Hill really even bad at safety? We don't even – he makes me feel like watching Geno Stone be bad at safety and watching the system that he just came out of, it makes me look like they just made Dax Hill convert to corner, and he probably was an okay safety, but the coaching staff isn't really even getting bro together right, and now I'm questioning everything. And when you start questioning everything like that, you got to go.
Yeah.
Then when we get to the offensive side, the fourth down decision-making, the feel for the game, the Philly specials, the not running, and then you look at the totality of my biggest gripe on Zac Taylor that I can't let go, I'm sorry, is the Super Bowl. When you go back and look at all of that stuff, when Joe Mixon and you did have a competent run game and you're running for 6 yards of carry in the Super Bowl and your quarterback hurts his knee and you choose to keep on throwing, and then you come out of that and then go into seasons after that doing the same thing, not ever establishing a run game, and your quarterback is still dropping back 50 times 5 years later, and then everybody's like, why is he getting hit so much? Because he's forced to drop back 50 times. That's 50 times that Thule, Bosa, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, all of them have an opportunity to go and hit him. And they got the whole world telling us that our quarterback is named Joe Brittle and he can't stay on the field and he's hurt because he's put into a toxic situation. So much so, the conversation that me and Ace were just having about Joe Burrow winning the game and stuff like that, he's forced to go win these games by himself because the front office has made this dude the highest paid quarterback and done nothing to aid him in conjunction with that. The scouting department is still 6 people and has done nothing to compensate for the lack thereof. So then when they're going to go assess players, we don't even have a correct assessment in a draft. And mind you, we're a team that has to draft a lot. And guys like Tanner McLachlan inactive, even after Eric All is out for the season, we're doing this all over the roster. And the coaching staff is Andy Dalton in the situation. And I know there's some Dalton lovers in the house tonight. I'm sorry. Dalton was a guy that represented, you had a little bit of success, you went straight to the playoffs, and you did your thing. But he never got you over the hump. And you gave him so much equity, and you gave him so much hope, and you gave him so much promise, and you love the PR that came with him, and he's a good old kid from Katy, Texas. So much so that you were willing to lose just to say that that's my guy. And 7 years later or 8 years later of Dalton, you never got anything from it. You don't want to get into a situation with a coach like that. And you saw that with Dungy. You saw that with teams like the Colts and all these different things that later on changed out. You got to make that decision quick when you're in the window of a quarterback of this magnitude. And the realization of that I came to is that the Bengals window actually closed when Joe Burrow's wrist got hurt. That's when the window really closed. The 2022 team was good enough to win a Super Bowl. So I don't buy in and subscribe to the window was closed after the Super Bowl. 2022 team was really good. 2023, when the wrist went out in the season, Zac Taylor saved it. Cool. Once this season came forward, we're at an urgency level as from a fan standpoint. You got to go win right now because Joe Burrow not getting no younger. He getting close to 30. So the urgency for me and Ace to get on the show and say, play Burton week 1. I need to see what he got. Couldn't Burton have had a game that he had yesterday? He could have had that week 1, and we would have known that going into week 11. You see what I'm saying?
Burton did not have a good game yesterday. I gotta say that. Burton, like, pulling up on the route and all of that, like, yeah, he got to do better, man.
PFF gave him a good grade though. He was getting open when you go rewatch it. He was getting open. He had the one catch. I think him and Burrow have a big timing dysfunction.
Yeah, they're not on the same page.
Like your timing, like Burrow
always. That happens when guys don't get reps early in the season. The timing is a little off.
The whole team, though, if the front office has to marry the coaching staff and what's going on. You got Lou talking about I need Von Bell, but the front office is giving me 11 guys. And they're saying we're not going to be active in free agency. You have to play those guys. You have no other choice. You shouldn't wait till week 11 to play Newton. You shouldn't wait till week 5 to cut ties with Zach Carter. You should all these different things, these young boys and all that, and I get the injuries or whatever. But that's one of the bigger issues that's going on is the Bengals were rebuilding on the fly. Yeah. And but we're talking to people and saying, like, yeah, we got this, like, bro, we're going to compensate. You know how the nose tackle position works. It takes years to get to even know if you got a DJ Reader level. Like McKinley Jackson, this takes years. Chris Jenkins, that takes years. You're rebuilding on the fly, bro.
It does, for sure. For sure. I know, obviously, you want Ben Johnson. I don't see that happening because of the budget, but a coach I could see happening because they wouldn't have to pay him much. Joe Brady.
What is he like as a leader, though?
I honestly don't give a damn. What is Zach like as a leader? It don't really seem like it matters. Like I think Joe Brady being with Jamar and Joe at LSU, being that he'd be able to cook up as offensive head coach that I could trust play calling wise, like I just think like when you get to that grade of guys, because that's what the Bengals are going to be shopping for. Let's just be real. They're going to be looking for up and coming guys that probably aren't being considered for head coaching spots until 5 years from now, because they know that they won't have to pay him anything. You're going to have to pay a Ben Johnson $10 million a year, and the Bengals not paying that. As much as I would love for that to happen, they're not going to be able to land one of those guys. I think that he would be an up-and-coming guy that I would actually believe in. Anybody else, I don't trust who they would bring in. These dudes interviewed Shane Waldron last time, and he just got fired.
Bro, Joe Mixon going crazy right now.
Of course he is. Are we really shocked? Like,
we do this every Monday night, it seems, right?
Good players do good when people choose to run the ball with them. Like, they never gave Joe Mixon 20 carries here. Look what he's doing with him.
We got 1,500 people in here. This is one thing that I'm just urging. Y'all can hate my guts. A lot of people might not like the things that I said in like my thoughts on, like Burrow and all these different things. Like, one thing that I want everybody as a community to do, and I pray for this, is to make sure that no matter what you want for this team, like whether it's a player or whatever, that you're committed to decisions for the Bengals winning. Stop. We do too much of this. This is my player. This is my guy. This is my whatever. A lot of times, I think me and Ace are pumping up, a player and like hyping up because we want to see him, or we're trying to urge the front office to play a player, or we think, you know what I'm saying? Like, because it helps the team. If that player doesn't do well, I don't care. I don't want him out there playing.
Right.
What happens is there's a lot of Teddy K's on the team where we know that they're not really that great, but we just like them. There's a lot of Sam Hubbards on the team. Like, we know that they're not great. We just like them. I think that as a fan base, and what we need to do moving forward is really buy into, let's put the pressure on the front office to just getting players that are the best. And we're going to go with whatever player that is that can win these games. Stop having agendas. Stop saying that this is my guy, this is somebody I'm wanting to draft, and that's more important than winning. If you're really trying to see the Bengals winning, like, I liked a lot of these guys. Like, I don't come back and then say, hey, I was right on this, and I don't care about that. I don't do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't. I don't care about it. If a player I said that was going to be good, like I said, Cam Taylor-Britt was going to be all pro. I'll eat crow. Get him off the field. Give me Newton. You see how easy that is? Buy into the fact that the Bengals could easily have Joe Mixon and Chase Brown together on the field at the same time. But we just didn't like them at the time. People just said, I don't like Joe Mixon right now. I think that whatever. I don't buy into him not being able to hold on to the ball. That's not good enough for me. But you know that we would have had more talent. Nobody thought that Zach Moss was better than Joe Mixon, did they?
Yeah. There were some people that said he was an upgrade.
I don't know about that.
I don't know why. But
I don't know about that. But to me, having Joe Mixon with Chase Brown is the marriage in the microcosm of what I'm saying. If you think that you want more explosive plays and you think Chase Brown is better, cool. I think Joe Mixon has a lot of, that he can do on the field. He can hold on the ball. He's a tough runner.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do this together. That's what I've been urging for our community to do all this time is like, I like Burton. Let's get him on the field. I like Yoshi too. Let's get them all on the field. You see what I'm saying? I don't think there's another show that's offering that in the Bengals like fan base right now that's offering what I think me and Ace are offering. And it's not a peace offering. It's a solidarity thing to say, let's collectively never have a season like this ever again because we don't need agendas. We need dubs. We don't need stats. We need dubs. We need to be able to right the ship and be able to say, these are things that we did while we were on earth and I was still young enough to talk about what the Bengals is doing. I don't want to be old and gray still talking about the Bengals going to a Super Bowl or something like that, like, and winning one. Like, I'm trying to get it now. If you're about getting it now, tell everybody come to the Cincinnati vibe because we're about getting it now, bro. Like, that's all I care about. And I think that this season was a wake-up call for me. I'm a big stat guy. This year, I don't really care about stats. I think it's really cool. Joe Burrow's leading the league in yards and touchdowns. I think it's really cool if Jamar Chase gets a triple count. But I don't give a shit because I'm watching all these people, these other teams that aren't better than me or our team, get wins. And I don't like that. And I just want to win. That's it.
Yep. Aquila the Great, $5 super chat. Appreciate that, bro. Says Joe Burrow went 1 for 8, but the offensive line was giving up pressure in the second. 3 versus 6. Of course, he was going 1 for 8. No one was doing their job. Herman, 199 super chat says Mike Vrabel would bring back physicality. KP from KC,
I like Vrabel.
499 super chat says they have to franchise and trade T. They need the picks back, bro. Move Karras to guard and put Matt Lee at center. Pay Jamar and Trey.
Man, I'll take that same money. I do a tag and trade. Go give me a first-round pick for T. Higgins because he's him. Give Commanders, one of y'all teams that got first-round picks, give me that for T because he's worth it. I watched 30-year-old Amari Cooper and all them dudes get second and third-round picks for Diggs. Give me a first-round pick or a 25-year-old ascending talent. That's how I'm settling. Give me that. Give me that money. Go give me Trey Smith, a real guard from the Chiefs, somebody like that, and let's go do that. Coaching-wise, this is one that I threw out too. I said it, but I don't think you heard it. What you think? Do y'all think Deion? Check this out with Deion Sanders. I'm not saying that this is gonna happen, but just think about Deion Sanders took a bad team that won 2 wins or whatever, right? He was smart enough. What does Willie always talk to us about? Like getting players that played before and then having them implemented in the staff. You know who his defensive line coach and everything is Warren Sapp. Mm-hmm. And think about who his defensive coordinator is.
Who's his DC?
It's the dude that they got from us. They got our cornerbacks coach, Rob Livingston, the cornerbacks coach from the Bengals. Somebody, now I'm not saying it got to be a Deion Sanders, but don't you think that Deion Sanders would have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase swagged out, confident, like, man, whatever. Somebody in that mode. Like, I think Brian Flores could be that guy. Like, that could give them, like, a confidence to be like, yeah, like, we are him, like, whatever, right? But the coach needs to be somebody that's smart enough to hire the people that are going to make the decisions around them. All these head coaches are just PR moves in the face of it. I mean, I'm not making this political. The election is somewhat the same way. The face of the presidency or what you see is just one piece of the puzzle. He has to get the right people in his cabinet and all the different people around him. If you look at what Deion did and get guys like Sapp, I think Deion would be smart enough to bring in our friend Willie Anderson, and he would have a role. Somebody like that that's open-minded, creative, and smart enough to go and get it. Now, Deion will want a lot of money, I'm just saying, but it got to have that confidence. I could have him. I would go into the coach's room. I left a friend of mine. He had a funeral earlier today, a good friend of mine. I went to a funeral. My life has been crazy, right? And a lot of things have happened. A lot of my friends aren't here to be here anymore. And a lot of the stuff that I could say would resonate with a lot of people in that locker room. And my story is very different. And a lot of these coaches that are like had a lot of things handed to them, they don't have that. You need somebody. I had them dudes in tears. I walk in that locker room if they know what I do and you do every single day to fight just for Bengals legitimacy our whole entire lives. We just took like the last 10 years of our lives away from our family on here fighting the fight of Bengals. Yeah. Death threats, all types of stuff, right? And these people come and they still talk to us and they talk, even Bengals fans talk to us like, man, get these dudes up out of here. We on here trying to uplift and try to do everything that we can, even throughout all of that. If the coach don't got a story like that, nobody in the locker room is going to buy into it. You got to be somebody in that mode that got a story to tell and somebody that's ready to run through a brick wall like I'm ready to run through the brick wall for the Bengals. I don't know that there's another a Burrow fan bigger than me. I don't know if there's another Bengals fan bigger than me. I've never seen it. If somebody knows one, send them my way. I've been lit like this forever. You see what I'm saying? So, like, if they don't got that, I can't have them. I think Deion got a story to tell. I think Flores got a story to tell. I don't really know Bob, the dude from the Lions or whatever. I don't know his story. But the head coach got to be somebody that's going to have them boys swagged up. You know what I'm saying? Like, talking like, yeah, like we coming to get it. You know what I mean? And then that person got to be smart enough to hire the people underneath them too. So I'm saying a lot, but I'm telling you, we've been fighting the fight. Some of these people don't got to go through none of this stuff that we go through. We've been blackballed and everything, fighting the fight to just be here for the opportunity to be able to talk football with y'all, and I appreciate that every day. Wincinnati pod.
Yes, sir. Acoma 199 Super Chat says, scales 1 to 10, confidence that Zach won't be here next year. We kind of talked about this earlier. I think my confidence in Zach being here is like a 2 right now. I don't think he's gonna be here in terms of that. What is that Magic Johnson? I'm not gonna be here. It's a little bit of that going on right now. But before we get out of here, we got to toss it to our good friends over at Midwest Best Barbecue.
G-Funk wings and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for queuing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for queuing wings. It's the AC to the Z, M to the B's. Uno wings, G-Funk wings, and them CTVs. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Midwest Best is the place to be for curing wings. Say what up to Jordan Battle. We be going to battle. Intercepting balls like CTB did on Seattle. Putting 6 up on AZ. Juice gang amazing. Make sure you come get these wings, cause Zimby stay blazing. And T game be smooth as ice. Jamal making DBs fold. TB got big levels, and now you already know. So pretty for Uno wings. Cam got the new wings. We call them CTBs. Only at MBs. H to the Zim. M into the B's.
Midwest Best Barbecue, 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Make sure you let them know Ace and Zim sent you. Look, man, I don't know if you missed out. They had the Thanksgiving dinner kind of stuff going on. Shout out to those who booked their dinners, but they also do all kind of catering events and stuff like that too. If you guys are interested in that, or your place of business, they're looking for somebody to cater, I recommend Midwest Best Barbecue. They've got all kinds of barbecue, all kinds of sides, anything that you want there. The wings you cannot do without. I know a lot of people had a lot to say about the wings. You can get the Dillinator wings. You can get the Grippo wings. You can get the G-Funks. You could go classic. You can get the Uno wings. You can get the CCB wings still. They still taste good. But make sure you check them out. 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. And also, this podcast is sponsored by BETUS. Again, they're doing that promo YouTube code. The promo code is YouTube150. You can get that 150% match. You can bet on anything that you want, NBA, NFL, whatever it is. Make sure you make your bets with BETUS. And we got a couple super chats here. Herman says, appreciate y'all always keeping the main thing. Appreciate that, bro. And then Chris Robinson, it's not even Zach's fault. He's never been good. It's the front office. Hey, maybe so. But as you guys know, Wincinnati Podcast is live every Monday and Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you tap in with us. And before we get out of here, Zen, was there anything that you wanted to say?
I said a lot, man. I appreciate you. That was a good show. Like I said, man, there's a lot going on. But you know, we've been doing this when we were tanking and all these different things. So if y'all been rocking with us all this time, y'all know that we do this. Like, they try to classify people as like those little new Bengals fans. Like, nah, we look a little young, but you know, we've been out here in the trenches like with it. So don't think that we're going nowhere. And the one thing that I didn't talk about the whole entire show, and I will leave you with this. If the Bengals win 5 straight games, not the craziest thing you've ever seen, playing the Titans, the Cowboys, and the Browns, part of the 5 games, and they got to play the Broncos or whatever. Yeah, they could. I'm sorry, they will have to win 6. Shoot. No, hold up. Yeah, just 5. Yeah, they're 4-7. Yeah, they just got to win 5 out of the 6, right?
6. What? They got to get 6. They got to get to what? Oh, you're saying you want them to go 9-8?
No. I'm tripping. Yeah, they got to win. Yeah, they got to win out. Oh, okay. I did this on the ESPN calculator. If the Bengals were to win out, they have a 99% chance of making the playoffs. I will leave you with that.
Who they?
It's an exciting time to be a Bengals fan.